And that brings us to session number 85, or as the alternate way of keeping track, Season 5, Episode 5. Sometimes the seasons are big, sometimes they're short. So we'll see how this one goes. So, I'll start with online people to introduce themselves and their characters, starting with David.
I have had the worst mental break. Oh my god, what is my character's name?
Plowman.
You're the horse warrior who never rides a horse.
Oh my god. Hello, I'm David. I play Plowman Guardian, the Epic-Garian horse lord, all-around good guy here with Epic-Gar, and probably going to commit some on-brands at some point. And we'll find out. Definitely wants to kill a great Khan.
So let's see, we'll send him to the future where he's the Great Khan so we can kill the Great Khan.
Weirdest grandfather paradox ever.
Well, we get to kill yourself in the future.
But if I kill myself, will I then still be the undefeated champ? Because I killed myself, so I still... I'm gonna need some time.
Okay, so that's David. Ithingarians are Genghis Khan sort of people, horse lords. And to date, David's had 1 or 2 combats on a horse, and he specialises in horse combat.
So he's the horse lord without a horse.
He's got the horse, he just rarely rides it in the combat.
Yeah, my horse was barbarian levels, I just never got a chance, it was always in crappy weather.
So, next one online we have today is Martin.
I'm playing a wood elf monk of the way of the blade, and that's probably it, really. Yeah, level 10.
Yes, the elf who never grew up an elf.
Yes,
He's not really an elf.
So he's technically 150, but he has only lived for 40 years because he used to be a halfling.
He was a halfling, he got better.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll do.
Well, he asked he was offered a free wish from a god, and he wanted to be an elf. So now he's an elf with the memories of a halfling.
Yes.
So next one online tonight we have is Mark.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark. I'm playing Bradshaw Dugan, a fighter weapon master dwarf, the only true race. I'm here just to really just keep an eye on Dimitri. Everyone needs to keep an eye on Dimitri.
So does that mean that gnomes, because they were grown from dwarves, are also part of the true race?
No, we can have a conversation about that another day. Yeah.
So that there is a rivalry between dwarves and gnomes. Dwarves don't believe gnomes exist. And they'll go out of their way to pretend they don't exist. No matter how stupid or foolish it is.
Nice.
So who made my gnome shield?
Well, he is an enlightened dwarf. He did marry a halfling. Considering his people also tried to teach all the halflings dwarven instead of halfling.
Let's put it this way, Martin. If I didn't marry her, I would be dead, okay? So, if I didn't marry my halfling master assassin wife, I think I would be dead. So,
quite possibly, you did help the party that killed her brother.
I have no knowledge of that one.
Does she know that?
Yep.
Oh, she knows it. She doesn't like previous members of the party, but yeah, she knows it. And I think I've smoothed it over. I don't know about that 100%.
Well, if he doesn't kill the party, you may have smoothed it over. Well, on their first date, she killed the tavern for him.
I'm going with that.
Impressive. What a way to win love.
So they basically had their meal in the tavern full of dead bodies.
Something more romantic, really, is it?
And so he was smitten after that. I think it was more the, if I turn her down, I'll die.
No, it was a trait of my character that I like females with red hair, and you just don't have a red hair halfling assassin. So that's where it came from, right? But hey,
He's submissive, isn't he?
she looks after herself. She's quite an independent woman, so I can't go past it.
Okay, so that brings us to the table tonight. We have Debbie, making sure I actually get the words out correctly.
Hi, I'm Debbie. I play Kignar Ret Ikaram Berta. She is a paladin and legendary imbiber. No, yes, that's right. She's a rock gnome, but who sometimes thinks she's a goblin, apparently. And she's very keen on finding somebody who can keep up with her in the drinking stakes, but apart from Plarman's son, she has yet to find an equal.
Well, you haven't gone drinking with Plarman or Bradshaw yet.
No, but Plarman's son is only 5, so he kept up with her. Pretty good.
And then we have Bon.
Hi, I'm Bon. I have Ayla, the High Elf Cleric, Life Domain. I just worship Ilmata, the goddess of endurance. I feel like I'll need that.
Quite possibly. So is that something on your end there, David, or?
Tunnel.
Okay, so you also have traveling with you a NPC by the name of Drazzle, who sometimes calls himself different things depending on which time shift he is. He has different personalities and appearances depending on which version is with you. And most of the time he's cloaked, so he doesn't quite tell you which version he is.
Okay.
And he doesn't really do things to help you. He more gives you suggestions and guidelines, and occasionally helps.
Don't trust him.
Well-
So it's the master of the one-liner. He's more the master of the one-worder, really.
Sometimes he does 2 words. He's also a chronicler, so he's keeping track of everything everyone does. Whether they want him to.
When he does something, he sure does it well.
And he does exist in multiple places at the same time.
Like Schrödinger. Cat.
Well, there's at least 5 versions of him running around the world at any one time. And he has a book that each of them writes in.
What a nifty tree.
But magical items do have weird properties. And you'll end up.
I wonder if our characters just could communicate with each other through different sessions.
They could. Just that very few people have actually asked him to try. People have passed him letters for him to just, hand it years earlier or years later.
So,
I'm gonna get so many interdimensional time travel-y friends.
so is he a fixed point in the continuity of the world, or is he someone who can have multiple representations in one universe?
He has multiple representations in the one universe, and he can actually change his representations.
What happens if
Right.
we erase
I think a better answer to those questions would have
They
been
can figure
yes.
it out,
Yes.
yeah. Because he's also changed history. And people who travel with him will notice the inconsistencies between what they grew up with and what's happening now.
Okay.
Such as a picture that they had as a child now has him in it. And they can remember.
He does so much wibbly wobbly timey-wimey stuff.
Well,
It is a storyline where time travel does mess with the brain.
excellent.
Because there are 5 distinct groupings of gods. You have the gods of energy, also specifically magic, most of them are in there, and the element of fire. You have the gods of thought that deal with air magic, You have the gods of Earth, which deal with gods of matter who deal with Earth, and a lot of the life gods are in there as well. You have the gods of time, which deal with water, and you have the gods of entropy, which deal with basically death and corruption. So, and darkness. So while the entropic gods are mostly evil, they're not necessarily evil. It's just easier to do bad things to get into that sphere. And every god was once mortal. So the more powerful the god, the less they remember their mortality.
So, what was the last session? What happened last session?
So last session they had gone to Drazel's home, which is a place called the Comeback Inn, because just like Drazel's descriptions on stuff, when you go in you don't really come back, because the inn itself is a time traveling location. So once they entered the inn, they managed to travel back in time to witness the crashing of a starship known as the SS-Beagle, which their sponsor was on. And that was in the setting 30,000 years prior or more. Hard to tell because at that time there were no real civilizations recording what was happening. Then they had another time jump where they went back and witnessed the death of the dragon gods by the Black Warriors. A group of people that they had never been able to decipher the language for. It just comes back as unknown. You can't read it, you can't translate it with magic. And there are a group of people who deal with high technology. So then when they did another time jump, they actually ended up in Blackmore, in the City of the Gods, where they met one of the gods known as Raphael, before he became a god. So he was a nuclear physicist of Blackmore, and they were in discussions with him. They'd also tried to escape a containment system and got flushed out of the starship. So they went out the poop chute.
Only two of us were out of the poop chute.
That's correct. So I really want to get out. Well, you can if you want to.
There's a will is a way.
That's right. But I was immune to poison, so it was fine. And disease.
Yeah. It's handy having those little options there.
Just remember that in space no one can hear you scream that you can't find your horse.
And also that there might be a slight problem in summoning Regem because, well, Regem hasn't been born yet.
Yeah, we get it. I can't have a horse. I get it.
I was just mentioning that bit. I thought you would appreciate the irony of that. So, last we had it, they were in the spaceship as they were having a couple of them talking to this scientist guy. And surprisingly, their magic actually translated what these guys were saying. They'd seen some of these script before, heard some of these phrases before, but they could never actually understand them. But they do get a little bit of gobbledygook from them because it's a translation, not a word-for-word copy. And if you don't have any frame of reference to it, you can't quite understand what they're saying. So it might be, hello, and then blah 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 blah, door, hello, blah 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 blah. And you just sort of get a bit frustrated with people who do techno well. But time to introduce your character. So, Plowman, last you remember you were sitting at the table while everyone else walked out of the inn. And while you're sitting at the table, suddenly they are all back inside the inn. Moments hadn't passed, but then again, years got to pass. It's hard to tell when you're inside the inn.
Where the hell did you idiots go?
And there's someone else there with them. Would you like to describe your character?
Yeah, so Ayla's just over 6 feet.
So she's short for an elf.
Yeah.
Most elves are 7 feet plus.
Yeah, she missed out on that, Jane. She's got long black hair, scale mail on. And she's looking rather confused and has no idea where she is or why she is here, and is very confused by the lot of creatures in front of her.
And then she recognizes Drossel, someone who she's met with, traveled with over time, but isn't always around when you need him.
She looks at him and says, "You."
He shrugs.
Climate looks at you and says, "Don't shoot me. Sit. It's chaos here. You may as well just embrace."
So, would you like to have your characters introduce yourselves to each other? How your character perceives themselves? Just chasing up Jeremy while you do so.
Bradshaw just looks at this new elf, go, huh, and just goes find wherever the next drink is from. So, very simple, Bradshaw. And Bradshaw also points at Dimitri at this moment, saying, "Blame him."
Yeah, that's right.
Everyone
So
belongs to Dimitri.
volunteer to him at least appears like a sort of slightly shorter, very stocky but very lithe, sort of tribal leather clad man with absolutely no armor and probably not enough clothes, but let's just ignore that. And seems to always be looking for a guest. Really big full-on though. That's not a euphemism.
Yeah, so Bradshaw's like I think 4 foot dwarf. Like if you haven't seen a dwarf before, just look stocky, big beard kind of thing. He's got chainmail on and has a shield on his back with a little warhammer to the side. And he seems to be
that's
gruff,
the Warhammer done with gnomish design.
Yeah, so Warhammer with gnomish design.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. But
Jeremy's hair.
damn it. But he seems to be. He looks very gruff, but most dwarves are gruff. Depends if you've met dwarves before, but most of them are gruff. So.
Okay, so at this point, we might get Jeremy to introduce himself, his character, and then describe his character.
Okay, so looking up, Dimitri Dimitrov, the Chaldean humble sage, wise man, beloved by all, and always out willing to help.
Though I might get you to turn your microphone down a little bit.
And in case you haven't realised, literally every single one of those words, except for his name, was a line.
I'm sure if you look at his backstory, his name might actually be a lie as well.
You can always trust Dimitri to provide you the information you need.
Just not when you need
Bradshaw,
it.
if Bradshaw
To provide you the information he thinks you need.
that's right. If he thinks you need, yeah.
Well, which obviously is accurately the information you need. If he thinks it's what you need.
Maybe.
And how does he appear to people looking at him?
Well, he's a lovely short gentleman. He's now got fiery red hair, but otherwise, relatively nondescript. Plain robes as is generally worn. But yeah.
I have one question. How does he think he looks?
Hey, he's a humble gentleman out to help the world.
If he says this out loud, Bradshaw's coughing profusely and I'm spilling beer in the background.
Well,
He doesn't need to say that loud, it's obvious for everyone to see.
Okay, so how does Trellin introduce himself, and how does he appear to everyone in the room at the moment? That's Martin's character.
Oh, yeah. So I'm dressed in grey robes. I've got a long sword, a long bow, and also a staff. I don't know how I'm holding all that. But, so
I'm hoping very carefully.
And, so, yeah. Yeah, I'm not very comfortable with my words at the moment, but I'm just sort of hanging out in the background.
Hey, we're role players. You can butter it up as much as you like. And hey, it can actually be a character trait, considering also you're not really as comfortable being an elf yet as you'd like to be.
That's right.
Now, how about Kegner? How does
Kignar is in a perpetual state of, has perpetually got a bottle of wine or some other alcohol close at hand, and appears sometimes to be surrounded by empty bottles. She stands well over 3'11", or perhaps even as much as 3'11.5". She has blood red hair and greenish brown skin, and it's really sort of, she could lose, she's built for comfort rather than athletic prowess.
That's not a bad thing.
The booze, I think, but yes.
So Ayla? Describe Ayla
Built
again.
for adverse conditions.
Didn't we just get it?
Jeremy wasn't there when.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so Ayla's standing at just over 6 feet, short for her kind. So hi, elf. She's got long black hair, but you can see her very long ears poking through. She's standing there in scale mail. She's looking very confused. She does recognise Dimitri. She turns to everyone and says, "Where am I?" Or when?
Drizzle says now.
Now. Excellent. Thank you for that.
He nods as if he has solved the problem for you.
We're at the beginning of time, aren't we? Is it technically at the beginning of time? I can't
No,
remember.
not exactly beginning of time, but we're certainly early in what we know as history.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and in fact cover, but actually no, because whilst we're on the Beagle, we're not actually with the Beagle's original crew, because we're down with the Black Marines who discovered the Beagle several thousand years, well, tens of thousands of years after it actually crashed.
Okay.
Before it crashed, but now we've come significantly further forward in time.
The monkeys have figured out
Hopefully not about 26,000 years in time, because that eagle might be in trouble.
Ah, simple.
Historically, there's a time called the Great Rain of Fire, where Blackmore blew up. Changed the axis of the planet, and almost wiped out all life.
Oh, these guys know that?
The elves all know that.
Ah,
So the elves are anti-technology. They are brought up to destroy technology where possible. Stop its advancement.
But not that it's actually been discussed at all so far, but Dimitri's quietly confident based on the vast wealth of knowledge and experience that he's so far received while he's been down here, that there's probably at least 6,000 years before that happens.
okay.
And to also put it in context, so that is an official module. So have you ever heard of the Blackmore setting? This is the world that the Blackmore setting was based in, the original D&D role of Mystara, which is the one you're in. So the storyline that they're doing is called roughly Immortals. Original D&D, probably one of the first campaigns. That was not just a group of modules stuck together.
So, you said that, was it
Ayla.
Ayla, sorry, couldn't quite read the way it was doing it. So Ayla, so she knows of Dimitri, not surprisingly. Does Dimitri and the rest of the party know Ayla prior to this moment, or is she someone else who's been happened to have been picked up on the beacon from somewhere?
As you're a high elf, do you want to come from the Wood Elf Nation or the currently in decline High Elf Nation?
In decline, why not?
Is that Glantry?
No, that's Wendar.
Oh, okay.
So last you remember, a group of heroes came from Karameikos. Some of them did describe Dimitri because Dimitri's from there. And they took a quest. They took on a quest to save the Elven nation of Wendar because someone stole a magic jewel that was powering their defenses. So they went north, buggered up the quest, and now the nation is under attack from an undead army with no protection. And the prophesized ones were turned out the prophecy wasn't on their side. As they handed the enemy the one weapon that would allow them victory. So, here, take it.
I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
If you knew the people involved, you'd be quite reasonably angry and disappointed.
So that was a short-term Elven campaign that we were running that ended rather abruptly.
Oh.
And they haven't quite found out what happened since then.
Okay.
Which is
Was that where I was heavily involved and then dropped out?
Was around that time, yes, Martin.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, so is Ayla someone who apparently came back with us through the door, like stepping out of Gretel's home?
No.
Or is she someone who's already here?
This is the first time you've seen her, but it feels like she's always been here. But again, it's hard to tell how long you've been here for. Because you can have a long rest in a blink of an eye.
No, Dimitri, I saw her just appear right now. She's been with us forever. She's just arrived right now, but she's been with us forever.
Yeah.
And
You're in a building where time has no meaning.
And the main question here is, why hasn't anyone offered her a drink?
Because you might want to point out that the last time someone offered her a drink, they found out it was a drink from the wedding celebrations of their child in the future, and it was the last stock of that drink. And they scolded it and emptied it.
It was bloody nice.
I don't like this place.
Okay.
Because everything here has meaning.
Lana looks around and then looks to Drazzle. So what now? Where do we go? When do we go? How do we go? No spaceship. I don't want to go there. Told me in like an hour.
Drazzle pats you on the top of the head while he is 8 feet tall.
Eddie, you're cold. Now let's go do something. Yo, shoot, hey, whatever. I don't care.
He points at a table and says, "Sit."
I don't want to sit. Sit involves talk and talk involves not fighting.
I thought you were already sitting. My mistake.
So, this is going to take absolutely no time at all. And by that I mean forever.
Just confirming my memory at the end of the last session, Dimitri was talking to
Scientist.
a a scientist, Elvin scientist. Did you appear Elvin, didn't you?
No, he appeared human.
Human.
And unlike what you're used to, he didn't have elemental association.
Yeah, sorry, many elements and functions. And
Every person has element they're associated.
Dimitri suggested that maybe that we're sending a search party out to find the others that have gone out through the garbage compactor. I'm assuming that everyone's been gathered back again and is in the presence of this scientist again.
No, you were mid conversation and you found yourself back in Drazzle's house.
Oh, what? Okay, so that's why.
I blamed you for everything while we were missing. Okay?
Okay, and so that's why Ayla has been with us for choosing the house at the present time.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, can you stop monologuing, Dimitri? We can all hear it.
Can someone please get me a drink?
I don't know.
You're handed a brandy. You remember the label of it from your name's day.
Oh.
How old is your character?
302.
So it is over. Well, name's day is about 100. So that's how old the bottle is.
Where did you get this?
Welcome to this horrible place.
Oh no, it's great. There's drink everywhere. Oh, there is, if I recall, there's just a wall of booze.
But when the gnome turns away, the wall has something else on there. But whenever the gnome turns that direction, there's just booze everywhere.
I see kegs after kegs. I don't know what your problem is.
That's a different type of magic I haven't seen before. I'm definitely not sober enough for this. Skulls.
I've never seen anything like this horrible place.
The benefit you have is you can't get drunk, and you get through the hangover in no time at all as well.
Oh.
No matter how much you drink, you're not affected by it.
Looks down at the brandy. What's even the point? What kind of magic is this?
Drazzle speaks up. He always talks of himself in the third person, just not to confuse everyone. Drazzle, happy all here now.
Yeah, we're here. What now?
What for?
Viewing.
Boring.
Spewing.
We have another opportunity to view a moment in history.
You have seen already, but need to see again.
Wait, we get to see that one time where I will throw some airships and blow some stuff up? That would be cool.
So he pushes his hand down on the table, and you see the room start to glow and fade.
Okay, so it's not a case of going through a doorway this time. He's hoping the gate directive for us to perhaps move or not move from where he is.
And you hear Drazzle's voice saying, see what happened. And he sort of just trails off at that point. You sort of think there's something important implied in that, but as usual, he doesn't quite explain. He expects you to understand what he's saying. And unless you understand, the more likely you've gotten what he's saying.
He's taking his lead from Dimitri.
Is the table changing? Just
Dimitri's
The
got
entire
enough of you.
room seems to be fading away. You can't even see each other.
Oh.
can I still
Evan?
see booze?
Evan?
No.
Disaster!
Yeah.
You can hear each other though, and you can't reach anything. You don't seem to have any
Dimitri,
hands
what
on
did
it.
you do? Dimitri, what did you do this time?
In my hands.
Hey, what
With
did
my
Dimitri do? Like this or what?
And then you see yourself. You don't see it. You see a room form around you. A room with 5 sides and 6 tiers coming up from the center area where you're looking from. And you're inside this room, able to look around in any direction, but you can't seem to move in it.
It's another House of Horrors.
There's no house of horrors. There's no horses here.
And no booze.
And as you're watching, you start to see beings enter the room. And the best way to describe it is beings because you're looking at the entire pantheon of the planet walking into this room. So 180 gods.
Oh my.
And they're in the form that we recognised in our time.
You do recognize the gods from your time.
Yeah.
All of us recognise, or just?
You would recognize all the gods that you're being brought up learning about.
Do they look like they can see us? Oh.
They don't seem to be paying any attention to you.
Can I try to speak a word at all?
Well, you can try, but I don't know if Bradshaw can succeed. He does have this slight problem.
Can't move, can't talk. Okay.
No, he can talk. I said you can talk, you just can't move. So what is
Hello?
Bradshaw?
Hello.
Does anyone respond to Bradshaw?
Yes, what do you want, you dingus?
The fiends are not. All the gods are not taking any response to what I said.
Do I
They
see
are not.
Benacanda?
You do not.
I don't see my own god.
You don't see him.
Well,
Not many people know of his existence.
these gods are a pretty poor show, in my opinion. You know, my god's not theirs. But do any
You go. What is the prayer of always?
You do see a sign saying the year 1000 AC. The characters are currently in the year 1009.
That's why you do not see Benacanda. And that's actually why I was going to ask the question of whether or not the gods are the ones that we recognise from our time. But yes, noting that Benacanda would be the obvious addition because he hasn't been around long enough.
He didn't become a god for another 4 or 5 in-game time.
Are there any like candles or flames within this pentagon room?
Doesn't seem to have any, it's just lit. And the more gods come in, the brighter it gets.
Well,
The gods themselves do emit light.
And it's not glasses.
come on, Dimitri, do something.
If you were to all listen to the instructions,
What instructions?
What
No
instructions?
one told me about this house of horror.
No one told me how to deal with all these gods, and I don't.
And Ayla can actually see her own patron in that.
When she does,
the
she kneels
instructions
down.
were to observe. No need to talk.
How does it mean protect your own advice?
For once,
Dimitri
I'm
hadn't
being-
said anything until someone specifically asked him to comment.
Well, but now you're talking again. Stop. Are the Ethandarian spirits there?
They are. You can see
Oh, wow.
Tubak the Lawgiver. You can see Yamurta the Yurt Dweller. And you can see Krisha the Trickster God.
Oh, look, they really exist. You guys suck!
Now you
As you say that, one of them just seems to look towards you. And seems to look at you right in the eyes. And you know it's Krisha.
Hello!
He winks at you and then just goes back to ignoring you.
you mentioned the room was pentagonal,
Yeah.
but there were 6 spies in the room.
There are 6 tiers in the room.
Or tiers, right? Sorry, yeah. So,
We're on the
And
highest below.
You're in the center of the room. Not
we're effectively at the bottom of like a are the tiers going up or down effectively into the room?
the
Is it like a
so the tiers closest to the center are the lowest, and you see the oldest of the oldest gods sitting there.
yeah?
And
And we're also back here where we're standing around in substantial, is that right?
that is correct.
Climate calls out, I bet you won't launch it, they help them execute it to the face.
As he
Looking
says that,
around.
you hear that the room goes silent at that point. And he sees two back the lawgiver stand up. He's also known by many others as different names. He has about 10 plus names. One of them being Ixion, Lord of Energy, Hierarch, and Leader of the Sphere of Energy.
Oh crap.
And he calls out in a compelling voice that stops everyone cold. Most of the gods, when they speak, people have to listen. It's not like they want to listen, they have to listen. There's my lords and ladies, immortals and exalted servants. We face no less than the destruction of the world of Mystara and our own society. Looking at him, he's tall, elegant, with skin the color of bronze gleaming in the firelight, and flaming eye sockets. He's standing not far from where you are, in the main center, as if it were a stage reserved for his sole use. And he's looking into the crowds and basically appears to be gauging their responses to him. He spins and points an accusing finger up at a raised judge's bench where 5 hierarchs sit. It's your responsibility to pass sentence on Rad, to end his studies before they destroy everything we know. In his greed for knowledge, he will sacrifice everything we know, from the entire world to the very future of our kind. Pauses for a moment, and you hear Druzzle asking, "Drink, anyone?"
Oh, yes, please.
Yes.
And you find a drink in your hand.
Oh, thank you, Glenn.
Then the image starts to move again. Where he's pointing, standing quietly a few yards away, stroking his beard, coughing up a little laugh. "Well, monsieur, you credit me with far too much influence and far too little sense. Would I endanger the world of my birth? The world where my descendants still live? No, the object I am studying, the artifact which causes you so much condemnation, is no threat to Mystara. It is a source of understanding. It shapes energies in ways which no one has ever seen before. It ignores the known laws of magic, and yet achieves magical results. There is nothing like it in any of our records. By studying it, I may discover a whole new kind of magic previously unknown to us. Perhaps I may unlock the secrets of those who went before, the old ones." A term most of you don't understand, and everything sort of freezes for a moment as Drazzle speaks up. He says, "Studies have shown the old ones existed before the Immortals, but no one knows. But no one knows who they are." Go, Jeremy.
It's quite like the immortal crew version of the old one. And they existed before them. Just confirming, look him up. Rad is an immortal of which element?
He's an immortal of fire.
Fire, yep, okay.
And Druzzle asks questions.
Yes, what are you showing us this?
What else? Go ahead.
Necessary to know.
Sorry.
So what does Trellin ask?
I was going to ask, what is Rheddrian? I
Merchant,
assume
he
he's
says.
here.
You don't see Rheddrian here at all.
And Bradshaw asked, what is this artifact they speak of?
Bradshaw, would you answer my question?
You get the sense that Druzzle shrugs, but you don't see him shrugging.
So do I have Rheddrian staff here?
You do not.
Right, okay.
how many of the characters are aware that Rheddrian is Benekanda's northern form?
I would say that from the players should know that by now, if they haven't known. But the benefactor who has been paying them to investigate the world was a alien who travelled here 30,000 years ago, was released by the party 4 game years ago, and in releasing him, he became God. And since then, he's been trying to find out what's been happening with the technology of his ship.
And in answer to Parliament's question, the fact that this meeting is the whole reason that we're searching for information for Rheddrian. If the gods were having a fight or a discussion 9 years ago, at the time when Rheddrian, we'll certainly meet at the time that Rheddrian was concerned about rising of new cults and increased tensions and all sorts of wars that would be asking this today.
That's a lot of words for what Brazil said. Important to know.
Well, you see, he'd already said that. I bring this here to observe.
If I was Corporeal, I would throw something at your head. You're telling us to observe, so shut up and let us observe.
So, as Blayman pauses, the scene starts moving again. You see Ixion.
Oh, thank God.
Ixion starts to fire up. His eye sockets become brighter. He says, each time you use this device, this thing, it draws magical energy, the source of our power, from this world. We have no way to replace that lost energy. And the rate of consumption is increasing. In a few centuries, perhaps a few decades, your irresponsible experiments will have robbed the world of Mystara of all magic. Then the figure named Rad shrugs. The delicate fabric of his crimson robe rustling, and he says, so. The room goes into stunned silence for the second time. Ixion whirls to face the audience. You see, his own words condemn him. No other place in this multiverse has produced so many candidates for immortality as Mystara. The very world this bandman threatens. Many of you call it home during your mortal lives. Steal away its magic and you can turn it into a wasteland of squabbling warriors. You doom all of the wonderful races of magical creatures who cannot survive it to slow and lingering extinction. Not is this all, Ixion says, turning his attention to the 5 Immortals who sit in judgment. Rad has violated one of the most ancient laws of our kind. By leeching magic from the world, he's directly interfering with the lives of mortals. Unless we stop, Brad's voice interrupts the hierarch. Says, that is a lie. Ixion whips around to glare at him in angry disbelief. The crowd is stirred and begins to mutter. No immortal, not as knowledgeable as Rad, has ever dared to speak like that to a high-ranking immortal before, especially not to a hierarch as powerful as Ixion. But before Ixion can answer, Rad continues. The law, good monsieur, states we are not able to take direct action against mortals. Travelling to Mystara and forcing a mortal to do your will, that is direct action. Dropping thunderbolts on a city you despise, or sinking an island into the sea, that is direct action. What I do is indirect. I study, I encourage, I inspire. I take no direct action. And then the scene pauses again.
So did we work out that the characters were aware that Benekanada and Rheddrian were the same people, or that's very limited knowledge?
The characters should potentially know by now as well, yes.
Yeah, okay, so the question about the fact that we know why Benekanada and Rheddrian and not in the room, because we know that we released him later in a few years' time. So,
After the events of this.
well, when we first started working for engineering, we weren't aware that Ben Canada was the well, the same thing. So,
I'd just say, and I try to say it to Drazzle as much as I can. So this object is causing problems. Why didn't the gods just destroy it?
You should ask them, he said.
Do I see any
You
more gods there?
observe.
perhaps if you continue to listen, this conversation, this meeting of the gods will determine the effect of the artifact.
Oh, back to my. Was any dwarven gods there?
Yes, there are Kagya, the patron of all dwarves, and Gal Glitter Gnome, the creator of the dreaded gnomes, sitting in conversation with each other.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just wondering. I might have something to say later too. Just for the Kagya. Yeah.
Okay. So the scene starts up again with Ixion laughing bitterly. Your inaction will change the world more completely than any thunderbolts from an angry immortal on an erring mortal. I congratulate you on the sheer power of your inaction. I've never seen any inactivity so powerful or so dangerous. He ignores Rad's mocking bow at his statement. As Ixion turns towards the judges. You have seen and you have heard. I have proved conclusively that Rad's research is draining energy from Mystara. Unless he is stopped, his work will eliminate the influence of the sphere of energy there and perhaps elsewhere in the prime plane. Not even Redd could contest my findings. Now I demand a vote. I demand by right, as hierarch, that he be stopped. Looking up on the bench, you see the Jira, the Mother of Worlds. She speaks to the council around her. She says, "So be it, we shall decide." And they turn in conference, with her whispering to the other judges sitting up there in the Ixion looks like he is relaxing for the moment. You get an inkling that of his thoughts as it just comes through. So you think part of this was a recording the gods themselves may have actually made of the event. So you get his thoughts loud in your heads. He shouldn't have let Rad get him so angry. He knew he'd won his case. Rad was clever, too clever, but he had only been an immortal for less than 2 centuries, while Ixion had known the judges for eons. He knew how each would vote. The Jira, the hierarch of matter, was sure to vote his way. As concerned as she was with the preservation of worlds and species, she would never allow harm to come to the exotic races of Mystara. Ilsundul, the fellow hierarch of energy and patron of the elves, was Ixion's friend and shared his fears about their spheres losing influence on Mystara. You two were sure vote. Koratiku, hierarch of thought, the spider god, was another friend whose frivolous manner hid a deep wisdom. Co-founder of the Hollow World, he too would act to protect his charges from the danger Red experiment posed.
Hey,
What was that?
I'm still founder of the Holy World. I hate him. He needs to die. Sorry, I have to interrupt.
It's all good. You can interrupt as much as you need to. So you do realise that Ixion was also one of the founders of it at this point too. Tubak, the lawgiver, helped found the Hollow World. So his vote would go with Ixion. Kronos, hierarch of time, was a cipher. Ixion could never tell how he might vote on any issue. He might find some precedent for Rad's actions in the deeds of some madman of centuries past, in which case he would vote for Rad. Or he might accept Ixion's charges that Rad's refusal to stop at his hierarch's command was a defiance of tradition, in which case he would vote with the others. Hal, a hierarch of entropy, his keeping with her nature would probably vote whichever way would cause the most trouble. But it didn't matter. With Deshira, Ilsundul, and Koratiku on his side, Ixion's victory was assured. He stood savouring the moment, thinking of how he would discipline Rad once the verdict was announced. Yet when the vote was counted, it was Dejia and Ilsundul for Ixion, Koratiku and Kronos for Rad, and Hal abstaining. Ixion looked on in surprise at Koratiku while the crowd buzzed their unexpected outcome. The ebony-skinned immortal stared back, sympathy not for the slightest of remorse on his face. Knowledge and growth do not come from stagnation, my friend, he told the solar emperor. There was nothing personal. We have a tie, the Jira announced. She too looked surprised. As Speaker for the Council, it is my right to break a tie. I decide in favor of Ixion. Red will abandon his studies of the device. This meeting is at an end. There were unhappy mutterings from the crowd as the Jira and the others rose to depart. But they stopped when Rad quietly says, "No, I will not accept your ruling." In the shocked silence which follows, Rad's calm voice continues, "I came here to answer the charges against me and explain the importance of my work for all. Even had the vote gone against me, I would not have abandoned my research. But your counsel is deadlocked. Two for my humble self, two for good Monsieur Ixion, with Madame Howe keeping her own counsel, as is her right. No verdict has been reached, and your own attempts to vote twice is how you say below board. My studies will continue." As the scene stops again, some of you now can see that the god Rad resembles the headmaster of the Great School of Magic in the legend. Some of you have met him.
Who's specific? Has
Dimitri has.
recognised it? Okay.
So one of us can have science.
Gnomes wouldn't have made it there. Elves would be welcome, but priests not so.
Can't be a
Yes.
place worth going.
Elven is a magiocracy who won't allow other practice of magic in their nation.
I'm looking at Khadgar now, getting the kind of thoughts of my dwarven god. Do I feel anything from him at all?
No, you don't feel anything from him, but then again, he's not the one who recorded this message.
Can I just look at his appearance and just see what I can, that opinion, what he's thought or where he would have voted, kind of thing?
Well, he didn't get a vote.
Oh no, but he would, if he's talking to the gnome.
Did he look like he had a way that he expected or wanted the vote to go?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at for, Martin. Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Then no.
Thanks, Jeremy.
The god of the gnomes. He's not actually a gnome himself. He's actually a dwarf.
Typical.
Whereas the dwarven god is not a dwarf.
Or a god.
What's your words now?
The Khadgar, the dwarven god, does support the gnomes.
Yeah.
The dwarves might not, but he does.
Nice chap. Do we know who recorded the message?
You, after hearing the inner monologue of Ixion, you believe it was Ixion who recorded it.
Ixion mentioned in his monologue the fact that Rad had been immortal for 2 centuries.
Mm-hmm.
How long has the headmaster of the Galaxy School of Wizardry been around for?
Since its founding, at least 2 centuries. So you believe he was mortal when he founded the school.
Yeah.
And part of founding the school, Grant, was part of his quest for immortality.
And not that Dimitri was there for it because it was I can't remember part he went through, but the experiences or that the family, that the Etienne family had in Francia was before they came to Galaxy, wasn't it?
No, that was after they came to Galaxy.
It was after, okay. That was it.
Before the founding of the school.
Yeah. Cool.
If Drazzle stopped the showing at the moment,
Yep.
I'll ask Drazzle if there's any snacks because it sounds like this is an exciting bit coming up. So.
Yeah, it's time for make sure you go and do your toilet break now.
He put something in your hand, it's still moving, but Drazzle said, "Good food, eat."
I take a bite reluctantly, but yeah.
It tastes slimy and still moving.
Blech.
Feel a shiver down my spine. Anyway, as long as I got a drink to wash it down with, I'm okay.
It fills your drink again.
Just leave the bottle.
Just pile them up, I accept the drizzle.
Tonic.
Okay, then the images start to move again. It took the outraged hierarch a moment to find her voice, during which time the background noise slowly grew to a low roar as the mortals in the crowds began arguing amongst themselves. When she did speak, it was clear from her tone that she was trying hard to keep her temper. By rights, the council should not even have had to intervene in this matter. Ixion is the reigning hierarch of your sphere. Once he orders you to stop your lunatic scheme, you should have obeyed him without question. I offer you one last chance to obey your superior, to do the right thing, to honour our traditions. There was dead silence again, as they all waited for Red to reply. I defy your traditions, he says, but with a French accent. Distinct Holy Grail sort of accent. That works perfectly for him.
I'll ask you, but I don't think we've ever keen eyes or the gut one, you see.
I'm terrible with accents, but I sometimes try. He's quiet and a voice carrying to every corner of the great chamber. Traditions are only laws when all accept them. I do not. Our traditions are not laws, but regulations made up by the hierarchs to keep all power in their own hands. Ixion is older and stronger than I, but he is not my superior, and I will not obey his orders. Have you all forgotten? Cries out Red, turning from Legier to the crowd. The hierarchs command each servants because they sponsored many of you to immortality. No one can become immortal without serving an immortal sponsor. Or so we are told. Most of you have now outgrown this habit of deferring to them. That is the hallowed tradition which Madame Degia evokes. But I achieved immortality without the benefit of your ancient traditions. I owe my allegiance to no sponsor. I myself am proof that the old ways can change, thanks to the very study those hierarchs wish to suppress. Who's to say those who went before, the old ones, are not responsible for guiding me to this new path now opening up before us? I will not. I cannot stop now because one world might lose its flying carpets and crystal balls. For the sake of us all, for the sake of the future, I must continue my studies, and I will till the last of my strength, even if I must defy you all to achieve my goal. You see Ixion clench his fist and takes a threatening step forward. The whole room sort of shakes as he does so. I should destroy you here and now, before you cause any more damage, he hisses. Suddenly, two more figures rise up to Red's side. Raphael, who you recognize from the Beagle, as the person that Dimitri was speaking to in front of the computer system. And Rathanos, a being or purifier. Fellow Imperials of Energy, so I think that's rank 4. So rank 1 being the lowest, rank 6 being the highest. Red does not stand alone, Raphael says to the fiery hierarch. I too became immortal without a patron. I too would like to see what his experiments bring. Rathanos merely nods. Traitors, shouts Ixion. There may be 3 of you, but you are merely Imperials. You seriously think you can stand against a hierarch in his fury? And stepping from the crowd, 2 hierarchs, says Valerius, the goddess of love. And, well, more passion than love. She doesn't really care about the love part, more about the passion. And that slides up to Ixion's side. Say the word, my love, and we shall stop this rebellion before it spreads any further. Ixion smiles and raises his weapon, a great longsword wreathed in fire. But before he can strike, a huge figure moves between the antagonists. No, says Carl the Wise, and you see what appears to be a talking T-Rex standing between them. That is not the way. Red is kind in one thing at least. Red is right in one thing at least. He and Raphael are the first of a new kind of immortal. I have devoted all the millions of years of my existence to protecting endangered species from harm. I cannot allow you to destroy them. Come, my friends, can we not talk this over before it's too late? Then Ixion speaks. It's already too late. Gestures to the crowd, which is degenerated into small groups of shouting and shoving at one another. At this point, I would say Bradshaw is observing Kagia and Gal having a disagreement over the actions that should be taken.
Well, Kakia is practicing the dwarves. Dwarves don't like magic a lot. Well, I don't anyway. Well, that's what I'm trying to gauge whether I'm on the right track of what Bradshaw's beliefs are compared to his god.
Kagia is also a traditionalist, so someone who breaks with tradition would probably be seen in a negative light by him. Whereas Gal is about finding your own path, which is why so many gnomes are inventors and tinkerers and have their experiments blow up in their face.
In my brain, I'm just going gnomes. And that's about that. That's what I say.
And then the scene starts up again. Much as it pains me to count you among my enemies, my duty is clear. I must not allow Red to destroy my sphere and rob Mystara of its magic. If I cannot fight him here in Pandius, then I will fight him in the mortal world below. At the name of that, you have an inkling of where you are. You are on the moon.
And this is the name of the well-known moon, or
It's the name of the visible moon, yes. There is an
the visible moon?
says, look to your fellows, rebel, he says, turning to Red Eye final time. An immortal without mortal followers quickly loses his power. Unless you halt your research now, I will release my followers against yours in a war that will wipe your precious Calantry from the map. And I won't stop until all knowledge of you and your radiance has vanished from the star. At which point it stops. So, to give you an idea, that's sort of what the room looks like with the god standing. Of course, black and white doesn't quite do it justice. So, for you guys there, if you want to see, with Ixion and Red in the center.
The radiance made anything? I'm thinking. What was those Brotherhood of the Blood, wasn't it? That was close.
Well, there's the Temple of Red in the city of Calantry.
Yeah, and that's the only religion that's actually recognized in Calantry, isn't it?
It is. And then the scene starts up again. For the first time you see Red hesitate. You condemn hundreds of thousands of mortals to death, many of them your own followers, or innocents will get caught in the struggle. And Ixion snaps back. No, rebel, it is you who condemns them. I do not desire any of their deaths, but if that's the price I must pay to prevent the doom of every magical creature on the planet, then so be it. Give up your work, submit to the council and myself, and the war need not take place. Refuse, and their blood is on your hands. See Red shake his head back and up. Then it is war, and a war of such that has never seen before. Look to your defences, traitor. Gather what allies you may. Nothing will save you from my wrath. And then he and Valerius both vanish in a blinding flash. So a hierarch of fire and a hierarch of earth did. At that point, Red shoulders sigh. So be it, he sighs before turning to his supporters. My friends, we have best take counsel together. If my dream is to survive, I'll need all the help I can get. And they too vanish. Tajia sat in the rapidly emptying hall, her face in her hands, and you hear her say, "What have we done?" Cronus puts a comforting hand on her shoulder and quotes an old rhyme softly to himself. The old order changeth, giving place to the new. At least one good custom should corrupt the world. And then you find yourself back in the at the table. And you realise you've now seen what the war is all about.
Well, that certainly explained a lot.
So Drazzle looks to you and says, "What next?"
I asked Razzle, this is all because of an artifact that Rad has used. What if that artifact Brad never got hold of that artifact?
Is there a way we can prevent this?
Time not worth it.
Oh,
Events happen and can change. You can change the person who does the events. You can remove the instigator. The events will turn out differently, but the events generally turn out in a similar way.
It can be hard to turn within time.
And if you make such a change that it doesn't come to pass, you then get hunted by the demons of time until you too no longer exist.
And before you change, you might no longer exist. You mentioned that mind does not work there. You know where the artifact is?
He does not. He was told you needed this information.
who told you that we need this information?
He's got it.
Who is your god?
He's got it? He nods.
Do you guys know who his god is?
I think it'll be satisfactory enough to some time.
He's also the youngest one there, as he is technically only 11 years old.
Huh.
Full maturity by the age of 6 months.
And in the sense that all Dragonborn are less than 1,000 years old. But he's certainly been around a long, long time.
So, are we going looking for this artifact to prevent the war? Is that what we need to do?
Do you have knowledge to affect artifact?
If the,
God cannot. You hear a really weird chuckle coming from him. He met Thor. You not drink more than Thor. And that was before Thor became shiny.
So what do we make of it then?
Drazzle's got a bit of a thinking look on his face.
We're all in
If
trouble.
the artifact never existed, therefore there would have been a meeting, therefore potentially no argument. Is that correct?
Potentially, but if artifact never existed, I never exist, and you
Oh.
never go back in time or travel through time, Bradshaw get killed by wife because not fix marriage dispute.
what makes him not being here to show you the events to then go back in time to try and stop the events?
That's right.
So if the artifact did exist, and this is Bradshaw's talking out loud now, says we can't make sure the artifact doesn't. The artifact exists, but Brad doesn't know about the artifact, but it exists. Would that be a bit more easy to work out?
No, he says.
Okay.
Bradshaw need to think longer.
Okay. I'll drink my drink again.
No, he's not drink, think.
I don't know. Dwarves drink and think at the same time. I think.
He starts filling up mugs for Bradshaw so Bradshaw can think better.
Thank you, Drazzle.
If Red and his followers are concentrated around Galati, is it feasible that this artifact might be centered around the Fellowship?
Drazzle think deduction good, no way to prove.
Because if we can at least, even if we can't currently affect the artifact, if they know where it is, then we may be able to mitigate or reduce its effects.
Do we know what the artifact is?
No, you don't. But at which point, Drazzle says, observe again as he touches the table. As you see the group of most of you sitting around table at various times, as the scene shifts, showing different people sitting around the table with Rheddrian. And so basically it's what Rheddrian looks like in that one.
Pedro Pascal.
Pretty much so. He has the beard and a little bit of a mustache there. As you hear Rheddrian say, and you remembering from sitting in there at some point yourself, yeah, we can assure us of some amount of privacy. Now we can get to business. First, a word or two of explanation. You remember that from when we last met, I was trapped within that remarkable Mirror-like shield. And some of this comes across as new to you because only a couple of you were there for the shield. And you were kind enough to free me from that prison. A good deed for which I am quite grateful. My stay inside the shield changed me, friends. I emerged with all my abilities and mental faculties intact, and thanks to the energy absorbed while trapped, I acquired other abilities as well. The ability to work magical spells, for example. In the time since we last saw one another, I have been learning about this world of yours, Mystara, I think you call it. I am convinced that this is the same one as the one my ship crashed upon, lo those many centuries ago. But dozens of centuries of age and catastrophe has changed it. It is very, very different from the way I remember it. Still, it's a nice place, and since I don't suppose I'll ever find my way back home after all these centuries, I've adopted it as my new home. Only since we last met, I've used my new abilities to become quite wealthy, fairly powerful, and well informed in certain areas. And the scene stops slightly at that, as you realise you've gotten some extra bit of information that you didn't have previously.
Certainly some better context for the information we have originally.
And then it
Did we?
go by.
Sorry, man.
No, go ahead.
And this is probably more to you than the actual Drazzle, but do we know the artifact came from his ship?
That you'll find out very shortly.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I'll shut up then.
Now I have asked you here because I need your help. I told you last time we met that I thought that dangerous forces were doing harm to the magical energy of this world. Now I am certain. I've also seen strange changes in the activities of whole nations. Clans and countries seem to be jumping and jerking in strange, unpredictable directions. We also see that here the date is 1004 BC, 5 years after the events you witnessed previously. I sense that these political events are the result of powerful manipulators, people who are making entire nations dance on their puppet strings, people who don't care how many thousands of people will suffer and die. I think these two sets of events may be related, and I'll tell you why. Through my research, I've come to the conclusion that only beings of a certain level of power, you call them Immortals, can utilize the remaining devices of my old ship. In doing so, they are draining magical energies from this world, as I told you. If it continues, your world could be utterly drained of magic. Think of it, a whole world where no spells, no magical healing, no magical weapons of protection, and no magical creatures either. And he says such as elves or gnomes or halflings. They are creatures of magic. Dwarves less so.
There might be a glimmer of a smile when he says no magic to Drazzle, but that's only if anyone knows this.
Now that I don't know why the Immortals, are doing this. Not all the Immortals are good, as you know. Perhaps we've already had the opportunity to observe the damage which an evil Immortal can cause with only casual attention. Others, not necessarily evil, are indifferent and careless, and through their negligence, they can destroy us as easily as the evil ones. Too much is happening in this part of the world too quickly for it to be natural. Only Immortals could wreak so much havoc in such a short time. But I don't know which Immortals are doing this, or why. All I know is that I want to see them stopped. I don't know if that is possible, but I've decided to use all my abilities and fortune to find out what's going on. See if there's a way. Maybe we could find out why they're doing this. We can find a way to convince them to stop it. I cannot do it myself. I cannot be everywhere at once. I need allies, men and women like yourselves. I'm here to persuade you to join me. I need adventurers who can travel the world, observe events in places I think the Immortals are most active, and accumulate evidence to prove or disprove my theory. And that's where it stops, because that's where most of you signed up to join. Well, all of you would have signed up to join.
Yeah.
And you now see the table again and everything else. So that puts it into context for what Mark was asking.
And so definitely got some information for Rheddrians that's been a calendar. He's asking the Immortals involved, and it sounds like we're talking Raphael and Thanos as the primary instigators on one side, with Dixie and Valerius on the other side.
You would put Car on the side of Red as well, the dinosaur god. Could you imagine being the only intelligent person 30 years ago?
Carl was going to stop Ixion and Valerius from killing Raphael and Ramphos, but wasn't necessarily on their side.
Well, you can't imagine he has a choice now that he stood up to another hierarch. He has placed himself between them, and as such put himself as an enemy of the god of fire. The god of fire only sees black and white. He doesn't see grays. And the goddess of passion only sees passion and no passion, so she only sees things in useful or not useful. So she will abandon her followers when they're no longer useful to her.
Well, I guess also, when Raphael and Ramphos disappeared, and they said, hey, we're going to go and plan our strategy, was it only those two that disappeared?
Car went with them, and most of the hall was disappearing at that stage at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're talking 180 gods involved in that discussion.
Did the big kid happen to notice which way a certain fiery red-headed god and his wife and fellow range-like companion went?
Well, it's hard to tell considering they have an interest in Galantry, as many of their followers are there.
Yeah.
As you know from travelling there yourself.
Yeah. But from the same token, I can't think what Helen's rough name was on the top of the head. It was Helen and
I can quickly look
but
at it.
considering she was a mage type, she's probably keen to magic you along the way.
She was a cleric. So there's a picture of some of the gods there, including the T-Rex god. So a lot of that stuff is actually quite interesting when you read the entire reason for the war. So Halav would be with Petra and Zurcha.
And they certainly were prominent enough to be determine which way they went. What about Odin?
Odin was, while he's one of the reigning hierarchs, was basically just watching because for him,
Frothing on this, he's a god of war, isn't he?
He's the head of the sphere of thought. So while he does like warfare that is meaningless is of no interest to him.
So he didn't obviously declare either side at that meeting.
He did not. But his followers stand between Galantry and Ixion's followers.
Just a point of interest, man. Did we see any dragon gods there? Or?
We did. There were 4 dragon gods there. A 3-headed dragon of grey scales, a dragon of pearlescent scales, a dragon with opal scales, and a dragon with diamond scales.
All of whom we've seen die.
None of them were the ones that you saw there.
Different.
They're different ones because they were the previous dragon gods that you saw there. That no one now remembers. But there are rumors that the blood of those gods fuel the lands of the Savage Coast, where the Master comes from. That can be then turned into firearms and other magical constructions of war. So the blood of the god is considered quite powerful.
Where are Ixian's major followings?
He's got followings all over the world, but he doesn't push people very much. And because he's spread so thin, he doesn't have as big a stake in each of the nations.
Yeah.
But you have a feeling that the goddess Alphatia has sided with him.
Yeah, and I take back to ask the idea of weapons. The Alphatians are more likely to be with Alphatia and therefore, well, Alphatians likely with Alphatian, and if Alphatians with Ixian, people over there, Galantrians are obviously going to be pushed towards the side of Rad. Phaeatons?
You're reminded by Drazzle of events that have happened. He says the group who had travelled to Alphatia to deliver the response from Galantry that had asked them to stop their illegal practices of magic found out that the Goddess of Peace was trying to instigate war against Galantry.
Yeah.
And Alphatia is the Goddess of Peace.
And the Phaeatons are likely to side with Galantry mainly because it's not Alphatia.
Mainly because it's not. And you're also told earlier on at the start of this season that Alphatia has declared war on Galantry officially.
Yeah.
And when Alphatia declared war on Galantry, the Empire of Theatus declared war on Alphatia. Not instead of Galantry, it declared war on Alphatia. And at the same time, the Haldanic territories to the north of everyone also declared war on Alphatia. The Haldanic territories are a bunch of paladins that even the gnome key would be afraid of travelling with because they are so self-righteous and stuck in their way. They don't drink.
Is that? Are you confirming that?
I am confirming that they don't drink.
And
Noah visibly grinds his teeth at mention of those dickways.
we travelled with a number of those on our way to Alphatia to blow up the Ixi Armada. So, and they were apparently suitable cannon fodder as far as the objective was concerned.
Drazzle doesn't like them very much. But they do try to hunt dragons. So their paladins are trying to be dragon slayers as part of their title. They haven't quite succeeded yet, but they still keep trying. So you've also found out that the Alphatian Armada, which had enough firepower to level the planet, got burnt down by Dimitri's crew in the previous year. So they wiped out about 2,000 or 3,000 skyships. They just happened to be the catalyst to a firestorm. And around the same time, with all that, a malevolent force has taken over the desert nation to the west, known as Sind, and he's called the Master. And he's been encroaching on the areas where you guys are from. and you got new knowledge yesterday from that session that the Master is using the World Tree to expand his domain, which is the World Tree from Norse mythology, and he's got more than one. So the World Tree pops up in multiple locations, and he has figured out a way to move them.
Noting that Rheddrian received that information 6 to 12 months ago from our perspective,
Yep.
is this party aware of the World Tree's travel with the Master?
You'd heard the Master was encroaching, but you hadn't heard what had happened. The message hadn't gotten to you guys because you missed whatever briefing had talked about it.
Okay, with that.
That's how Dressel sort of tells what's happening between different time frames. If it hasn't happened yet, he can't tell you what happened. And that the western side of the Great Lake of Darrakan is now blocked off from those who want to keep living, and that they believe the goal for the Master is to get close enough that he can take control of the elven trees of life, and in doing so eradicate all the elves in one go. Neither do the elves.
So, based on the information or the vision we've just seen, it would seem that as much as the form of Blanchard would cause irreparable cataclysm upon the worlds in which we grew up, it's possibly a minor loss compared to the entirety of Mystara.
Yeah, an acceptable collateral damage.
It can also be quite hard to choose because people you may know may end up becoming your enemies.
And we've been working hard particularly the last few years, to halt the elevation of bugs, but perhaps it's something that we need to encourage.
Though the one thing you do know is if the Alphatians invade, they will not stop with Galantry, they'll wipe the entire region off the face of the map.
Yeah.
They'll kill everyone you know.
Okay.
Just because they might know something.
And, but yes, I'm not sure going to see what the Master to be able to
Well, yeah, I was wondering whether we would be allowed in to Galantry.
Oh, we can certainly get into Galantry.
I'm a wood elf.
As a wood elf, you're perfectly fine going in there, and as a monk, there's no nothing on you except you're not really a you'd be considered Dimitri's valet.
Okay. Or you'd be kind of like what Bradshaw is at certain places, the dwarf, so.
Yeah.
So Dimitri will be considered, Bradshaw will be considered target practice.
Hopefully welcome to go in, but don't expect to leave.
Right.
And Galantrians are the hated enemy of the Ethingarians, as is nearly everyone on their border. But as Ethingarians hate magic and then hate the people who try to tell them how to believe.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna lie, the whole concept of no magic in the world kind of made someone smile a little bit.
Yeah, I was on the kind of.
So Plum
Bradshaw was on a similar thing.
You report to the depth of Rheddrian?
Look, I can do without Rheddrian if there's no magic in the world. It just means that he can be even more undefeated, and he doesn't have to worry about cheaters. But more importantly, wherever the hell Vanic Moons are going, yeah, Simon is going to make sure that they don't get there. Or at least make every effort to.
The alternative though, if we recognise that whilst the loss of Galantry and what is commonly referred to as the one difficult to overcome by our facia would cause for destruction for those immediately know is possibly the lesser evil compared to the Tiny Mystara.
Presents the no.
Possibly the better option would be if we can find this artifact and somehow stop Rad from manipulating it, because therefore the gods would have no reason to wipe the Galatians off the face of the earth, or the Mystara.
So for our players here, the Glantry is this region up here. Darakan, the place where most of you work from, is here. The Elven Kingdom is here. Wendar is above here. Ethengar is here. The Haldunic Knights are above that. The Vikings are all here, working with Odin. You've got all the dwarves here. You've got a desert kingdom here, which is a cursed place. No one really goes there. You've got the Diatan Empire here. You've got where Dimitri comes from here. Karameikos. You've got the halflings here. And you've got a pirate nation below there. A pirate convict island group. So everyone sent their convicts there, and then they revolted.
Sea thieves. Amongst other things.
Amongst other things, all the pirates are welcome there, and they will come to the nation's defense if the nation's under threat.
That's nice. Yes. Going back to our options that we had before, would it be crazy just to take out Rad?
Well, that would be taking out someone who you have nothing that can harm.
That can help us.
You have nothing that can harm.
Before he was a god.
Again, you'd create a paradox because you'd have no reason to go back and kill him.
Oh, my head.
So while you can change history, you can't change the event. Someone else may end up becoming the god instead of Rad.
If we take out Rad before we become a god, someone else could become a god equivalent or later time and develop an interest in this artifact and start the chain of his in the same manner.
I missed a bit of the artifact ship kind of talk, Martin, but was there anything else on the ship at all that would have been helpful to get the artifact back, or it wasn't mentioned, or?
The thing is, you haven't come across much of that ship previously. You now know how it crashed. You now know parts of it were used at various points. And there's also rumours that a piece of it was found in the Broken Lands that was set off and caused much devastation. A group of elves did so, and the entire clan now won't grow taller than 3.5 feet.
Oh, the poor things.
They are Spanish elves.
Spanish elves.
They are the Valkyries elves.
They must have lots of sleeps in the afternoon. Okay. Is there any so the ship's completely gone? Is that correct?
Well, the gnomish flying city of Sarah uses one of the engines of the ship as a power source.
Okay, so it's been stripped.
And the shield that we found was a piece of that ship as well.
It was.
Okay.
And throughout history, people have used technology from that ship to much devastation. So that they actually had laser weapons and equipment and all that sort of stuff. So full sci-fi will show up in various places around the world. And one of the characters on the Tuesday night had a wristwatch that would turn into various weapons.
Okay, so my idea of finding something on the ship that might be still there, that might be able to stop the power, whatever the artifact is probably not a good idea.
Well, you know something that can stop the problems. Rheddrian.
No, what I was about to say was Rachel's comment, not that Dimitri actually acknowledges the inspiration of his thought, but the fact that Rheddrian has full understanding and knowledge of the ship itself.
He was
probably has some ideas to what particular aspects or parts of the ship might cause the effects that Rad has been investigating or researching, which may then make it easier or potentially, like I said, may give him clues as to what we can search for if we are searching for the artifact.
And he's already told you what he wants you to search for. He listed it as new gods and cults, changes in existing religions, strange events, and policy changes, and technology advancements and wonders.
Yes, that's right. Rheddrians was not there in the meeting of the gods in the year 1000.
He was not.
He didn't hear the description of what Ixion said the artifact did, and so with that description and information, he might have some ideas as to if there's a certain part of the ship that's more likely to have that effect, and or you might have things of, in that case, I can make up this device that might detect the effects that that Ixion was referring to. Obviously, we've been searching for the general ideas of the results of the effects, i.e., religion popping up, madnesses and things going on, although that also sounds like Ixion also mentioned had become aware of the conflict between the gods. Obviously, he became a god and was watching their movements for each of the sidelines. He was thinking, these guys aren't working together all that well right now, 40 years after that meeting. So it makes sense that he was asking us to look out for that sort of influence, but he may not have been aware of that the influence originated, or the original division was caused by an artifact of his ship, and therefore he might know a specific part of the ship, like the main computers, or the engines, or the air conditioning units, or whatever type stuff that might be doing things, so therefore you might have some ideas of what to look for.
Okay, so some other things he had told you was when he woke up the first time in the Blackmore era, he found that his starship had been stripped over centuries of its parts by the Blackmorians using their technology.
Yeah.
And they had stripped so much that the safety systems weren't working and the ship was going to explode. And so in trying to stop the ship causing as much damage as possible, trying to limit it as it was how he got trapped in the shield in the first place.
Yes.
So that was that description that he'd given to some of the characters. He would also say that he can't detect where the piece is. He just knows that it is draining energy from the world. So he had described it from a different perspective. He can't. He doesn't suggest taking in any of his devices into the Galantrian region without having the God's agents work against you directly.
Yeah. But yeah, having in mind that description we gave us, would then be potentially like this. He attempts to stop the whole ship exploding, forced him into the river. But does he know of whether the ship actually exploded or not? Like, did he get forced to the river as the ship blew up completely, or as the ship imploded and therefore the damage was minimised, or?
I think it was. I believe it was. It blew up. So, and the explosion of it is referred to by the elves as the rain of fire.
Barman scoffs. Barman looks at you all, stands up and interrupts and says, "But if it's a ship, what is the sails? And what is the water?"
You saw the ship and you saw it did not get sails or water.
Well, it crashed because it had no sails.
Then it is not the ship. If there is no water, no sails,
It's a
it makes no sense at all. Your people are weak.
So, yes, in the same way that certain cultures refer to camels as ships of the desert. They have no sails. They're not on the sea. It sounds like outdated nonsense.
So we've got options of let Lantry die, or support other people doing that, or get the artifact and see if we can disable it or stop what it's doing.
So from your perspective, there, Mark, if you let Lantry die, you're dooming the dwarves to enslavement by the Alphathians.
Okay.
If they live.
If they live.
Because there's no guarantee dwarves will live without magic.
Yeah, that's true.
They do rely on magic in a lot of their items and creations.
Oh, I do, yeah. Just don't like people using it, but we do rely on it, yes. Big contradiction, but yeah.
But yeah,
So that's
thinking further on what we already knew that Richard told us, and it seems likely he actually effectively had the information that he used to tell about the artifact. Is that what was suggested?
That's basic. He basically said the same thing from a different perspective. That there's something raining magic, something relating to him and his ship.
Okay, so he's not likely to be able to provide or have any further indication like that. Telling him what we know now, he's not going to give him any more information about where to find the artifact. So, because he's already learned that something was playing magic. So, but we can possibly at least tell him, hey, maybe the efforts need to be focused on going to considering the blood and his followers of Radiance have been targeted by him because of Rad's experience.
Druzzle does pipe up and he says, but who does the master serve? Timing perfect. Basically saying you believe that the master coming is planned. And the master is not something that would serve Ixion or Thunderous.
Do you know what was mostly based in those desert lands or wastelands?
It's believed that the master is questing in the sphere of entropy.
So it appears that except maybe there?
There are a couple that fall into that one, as well as a friend of yours from the past, Thanatos. The Grim Reaper.
Yep.
So they did face him down.
Within the Hollow World doesn't count. What happens in the Hollow World stays in the Hollow World.
So yes. That is also something to keep in mind, is that it's not a two-way fight. There is a third party involved.
Yeah, exactly. Certainly. Any time combat occurs, or conflict occurs, I should say, there's going to be those who are in it just to stir up trouble. And will make a profit by selling to both sides.
Yes.
So, I thought that wasn't in this game.
Hey, Drizzle might bring him through if you're lucky.
So, we've got an artifact that we'd like to get hold of to help stop potential wars, maybe, possible.
An artifact protected by the gods themselves.
Yeah, an artifact protected by the gods, so therefore I expect a lot of protection, which we don't have exact location for, but we have a glimpse that it might be around the Galantary area.
We have a justification for thinking it might be there. That justification might be wrong, except of course to get you come up the idea of something from a copy wall.
Correct.
I'll look at Russell going, And I just couldn't give it Drizzle an eyebrow up kind of thing.
Drizzle gives you more beer.
Okay.
Thinking juicy says.
Yeah, it's we're kind of at the stage where we think we know what we want to do, but we just don't know where to do it.
Yeah.
Is that seem about right, Drizzle?
Drizzle unsure. Drizzle not gone this far. Oh.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. I think, thank you for the beer, and I'll sit back.
He's no help.
Because I can drink as much
He's
as I
been
want right now,
consistently no help, so it's okay.
Drizzle pats Strellan on the arm and he agrees he's been as helpful as Strellan.
I think Dimitri knows more than Drazzle.
So where are you right now? You're not even on that map.
We're way north of that map.
Let's see if I've got... let's see.
I mean, even the thought of going there to find the artifact.
It's a very slim chance. It's the biggest chance to get us so far.
Okay, I don't have the pages, I can't show you the map on that one, but...
Bloody long way.
bloody long way. Many books flicking around, slowly migrating stuff from my world to yours.
Because we got teleported to this location via the rather impressively enhanced clones we came across at the edge of Effingar.
The first struggle. So I imagine people who are like Wolverine don't age because they regenerate. And giants.
Huh.
So their homelands where the Northmen. So they get the face the smart.
So what should we do?
Well,
And Drizzle pipes up, when should you do it?
Drazzle
Once again stands up and says, I have made a decision.
Oh, here we go.
He then looks at Dimitri and says, Dimitri, I hate you, and at many times in my life, I wish you never existed. But, occasionally, you're smart enough to figure the situation out. So, hurry up and decide what we're doing, and I'm bored and I want to kill something.
so your decision is to follow my advice.
My decision is to tell you the hell off.
Bradshaw does pipe up saying, he does have a point.
Well, perhaps you'd like to listen to my advice then.
Well, just settle down here, just don't go too far with it. Small words, straight to the point.
Dimitri, no one cares what you have to say, we just want to get it done, so make a decision, don't talk about it, and let's go.
Drazzle, are there any more opportunities to visit pertinent points in history from this location? And are there any particular places you think it worth us visiting that may shed further light upon the history of the conflict?
You see him think for a moment, and he goes, no.
Now, you mentioned that you had not been beyond this point. Had you been up to this point previously?
Yes.
Can I just say to me,
Why have you deliberately not gone beyond this point, or are you unable to go beyond this point?
Does not know what happened after events of current time.
So, hopefully,
Drizzle
that is caused by
events.
hopefully that was caused by some other power and not a lack of events beyond this time.
Drizzle shrugs. Boom!
So,
Or go boom,
So-
actually.
I would suggest that perhaps we wish to get in contact with Rheddrians and at least pass on the information that we received.
Drizzle recommend tact when speaking to gods, because you now know things gods don't want you to know. Which is why Drizzle had to show Dimitri more than once. Dimitri, forget.
Armies aren't throwing pebbles at Dimitri's head, but they are.
Having said that though, yes, I can understand we don't just actually inform all the gods of everything we automatically know, or we currently surmise, but it would seem that Benekanda has declared himself on neither of the triple sides of Rad or Ixion. Either because he didn't know enough at the time, or knew enough and recognised that any time we're going fighting, the real losers are us.
At which point the gnome would know the main beliefs of Benekanda are the Immortals and Immortals make their own decisions. Not basically forcing them to be there.
So I do feel that he would be a worthwhile sounding board and knowledge base for a lot of information provided. So I'm actually employed us to find that information in the first place. And whilst he apparently has no way of tracking down part to become ship at this stage, maybe he can focus his attention towards that direction. But I think overall, the important thing will be to try and get back to Karameikos and try and find out more about this Church of Rheddrians. And it's possible, talking to Benekanda and we'll get to him, that others of his other parties that he's hired may have provided some information that could be of relevance that is not directly known to us at this stage. I'm looking directly at the fact that, hey, one of the other parties has certainly got some books and information about the Church of Rheddrians and have been down into Blacktree and seen some of those bits and pieces.
The other two groups have a lot of time in
Yes, that the other, the Dimitri doesn't normally know that.
you see Drizzle point off to the side, says, just ask him, as you look and see that Rheddrian is actually sitting at the table as well.
Oh, okay. So we're technically still at the table, but the image that the memory that we all had at that first meeting with Rheddrian, or first formal meeting, is somewhat still going, or we definitely returned back to the house and now Rheddrian competed?
No, you're still in Drizzle's come back in, but Rheddrian's also there now.
Colin calls his new very close friend Rat a drink. He says, this could go on forever if he keeps talking.
Rachel thinks he's drunk because all of a sudden he sees the new person at the table and going, what these things aren't supposed to be.
He winks at Bradshaw and says, as perceptive as usual, he says.
Bradshaw, it's this place. Don't question it, just go with it.
Okay.
Well, now, just to accept that nothing is what. Well, yes, of course.
Okay, I'll cheering Plowman. Yeah.
He pours a drink for everyone except for Dimitri, and as well. So he pours a drink for Dimitri, but holds on to it until he stops talking. This is for you all when you finally shut up and decide to do something. Okay? Until then, he picks up another pebble and throws it at his head.
Well, yes, Dimitri will then address Benekanda and explain the fact that we have seen our memory of Ixion, referring to a meeting with the gods some 9 years ago. Seemingly, it resulted in a conflict between the gods, and that possibly central to this conflict was an artifact that, from context, appears to have come from your ship.
He's done his research. He believes it's the fusion reactor that powered his starship.
If that's what my god says, that's what it is.
And that
Told you.
now,
I go,
the hell is fusion?
what's
And as a
that?
player, because in every couple of years, when Dimitri met Raphael as the scientist,
Yeah.
he called himself a nuclear physicist, didn't he, or something?
Yeah.
And so probably the word fusion and things like that mentioned in Dimitri's discussion.
He did.
And so Dimitri is saying,
No, I am fuming. Don't worry about fusion.
He does continue that the reactor should not be able to affect magic of this world.
Shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be.
Yes,
So
that
he's
is-
tampered with it, and he can't find it.
He also comment on the fact of noting that God is at the centre of the conflict from Tyrion's perspective, and the supposition that possibly means that the artifact might be located in the centre or somewhere nearby, the centre of one's influence, i.e. Glancy and his Church of Radiance.
That would make sense with the studies that some of his agents have made. They have discovered that the closer you get to Galantry City, the more powerful their agents of the Radiants are.
So that's it. That's what we do.
Except they kill anyone who asks questions of them. That's it.
Well, that's why we've got plan.
These people are also hated.
Precisely.
They're at war with the Galantrians, and the war has never stopped.
The Craven Bradshaw kills all the elves. We go down, find the artifact, and get out of there. Simple.
Did you say kill them all?
Yeah, he
I
did say
think
kill
kill
them
them
I kill the people that are in a row to get the artifact. So you get to do some fighting. I join you. Eventually we can take the claims of taking the artifact out, and we're done.
If you go to the fourth floor,
Lyman looks to Dimitri and says, okay.
the small floor
also,
just over here the back actually is. The ledge is quite big.
Rheddrian also pipes up saying that there are 2 readings he's getting. And they keep moving. So he believes that the gods are interfering with any chances to detect it at this stage. You may have to withstand a couple of years of warfare before that they weaken enough to be able to break their hold.
Well, it would seem likely that
Did you say years of warfare?
Yes, I thought you would appreciate that plan on his side.
Oh, thank all of the spirits combined. Come on, let's go!
it would seem likely that, considering the gods are involved in attempting to stop this rat from actually utilising the device, that presumably Ixin and his allies are trying also to locate it, and Rad and his allies are trying hard to keep it moving or out of their vision, so what the gods can't find and will try to hide, not surprisingly, might be a challenge to find.
Yeah. But he is putting his energies into tracking it down. As subtly as possible. He does recommend you decide how you want the conflicts to go, because you have a choice to bring in your own people on one side or the other.
And then I was just going to talk about the fact that yes. So as you said, seemingly the victory of Fascia is potentially better for the Mystara as a whole but we don't necessarily want them to gain that victory very easily.
He says victory for Alphasia will probably do more.
That sounds desirable.
Okay.
That's so optimal.
If the people who are about to be wiped out utilize their device as a weapon, you all must survive.
We have to find it.
However, the world won't survive if the forces opposing Alphasia are victorious either.
Well, if he can get himself to the device, then he may be able to stop it. There are a few others on this world who would understand what the device does.
And to make we remind that, yes, are you aware that Rheddrians was a scientist upon the ship? One of the nuclear physicists, he called himself?
He was not. He does not believe he was a member of this group.
No. I just, he was a Backwarian who was studying the ship.
And building his
They're possibly one of the ones that are manipulating enough, causing you to have to step in to blow the ship up.
You have a feeling that Raphael might have been partly behind the explosion of the ship.
Yeah.
Tinkering with that, I don't fully understand.
So it was inadvertently, presumably, whereas Rheddrians or Cybernetic can deliberately blow the ship up to stop them from making it worse. So.
I have an announcement. It is my 200th birthday, but I was only 57 when Dimitri started designing what we were going to do.
I tell you, it is good thing that we are outside of time because all of us would have died of old age. Including you all. That's too bad.
Probably not, because the world would have ended before then.
Well, we could only hope at least then you would shut your incessant rubber.
You're the one that wanted to hear my children.
No, I wanted to hear literally any decision. You have yet to make one, so hurry up.
While this is happening, I'll finish one of my tank cards and just throw it at Dimitri because I'm waiting for him to half finish. You get to the point. So, not a pebble, a tank card.
Okay.
Yes, let's be aggressive as one of members of the body into making a terrible decision on behalf of the entire world in existence.
You see the tank card sort of stop halfway there and then come back towards Bradshaw.
Oh, this is the returning tanker? How could you start in battle?
Oh, what is this? Can I keep this schedule?
And then you notice the tank cards start filling from your mouth.
Wait, is that the tanker aid?
So would you say the tank card starts filling from my mouth?
Yep.
Reverse time.
He's encouraging Bradshaw to think more.
A bottomless tankhead.
Don't
Sounds
take
awesome.
us back in time, Bradshaw, because we'll have to listen to it bloody well all over
Or you
again.
can drink the same drink as many times as he likes.
Go back to where he starts to decide.
This one out of the tide of horror.
No, please, can we skip past that part and just go to where he actually finishes the subject? Because I guarantee you at least 4 ages will have passed.
So if you are all ready,
Yes.
Yes.
it seems like to minimise the effect of the conflict of the current conflict of the world, we must continue with the mission of finding out the information as to where things might be, but now we can be more focused on our investigations No, we are.
Oh my god, I would rather go back to Hollow Mode than listen to you talk.
So Rheddrian asks where do you see your efforts will have the most use?
Yes, in the meeting where? Exactly. That's what we need to take it.
Bye, everybody.
Where are we now? Talking to me. Why are we not there now? Hurry up, let's go.
It will take quite some time to get back there. We can get first we'll go to Rheddrian.
Talking.
We have Drizzle. Surely Drizzle can help. He is master of universe banks with him.
Drizzle, happy to send you backwards.
You know, hang on a second. Pretty old lady. You seem like a smart. Can we do the thing? You're not Drizzle. I just don't care anymore. Just someone make a decision.
We go.
Let's go.
Let's go, Auntie. Let's go. Drizzle, make it so.
Or 9 for 9, please.
Okay, so you see the door open up on the end, and you see what appears to be a coastline outside. Reminds some of you of when you entered the place the first time.
Okay.
Oh, what? You mean like 3 aeons ago?
No. Moment. We only just arrived.
I will go back in time and hunt every one of your ancestors. I will make sure that all of your forebears were killed and hanged in horrible ways, that all of your children and offspring will be hunted down and roasted as a spit. Just a one more pointless one!
Guys will try that time.
I like
Well, that would be impossible. No word can increase any pointless.
I run over to Palm and try to hold him back, okay?
If they're not pointless, then how about you get to the friggin' point?
Drizzle,
Every word it makes value.
I'm going. I'm following Drizzle. You can come and stay. But I've just spent the last 1 second listening to 200 years of Dimitri talking, so
I'm a kicker.
I try to drag Plowman through the door too.
it's all gone. There's nothing there, it's just blank walls. I wish they didn't steal it early enough.
well, I should have stolen more of it.
Oh, perhaps he didn't steal it late enough.
Drizzle patch on the shoulder and says next time.
I stole a lot, but I drank a lot listening to Dimitri.
Perhaps if you pull under the book, they will take some of us.
Drizzle suggests you stop the bar next time, so you can then steal it later, or earlier. Or both.
Door. I'm out the door. I wonder if it's... Wait a minute, I'll just duck to exercise my tallness as I leave.
You managed to make it out without hitting your head. It was close.
Almost hitting it on the ground, but...
Oh, fresh air.
If everyone else could rush out the door, we can either take a nice look around and step out the door. Is Jackal still to Jackal wait for everyone to leave before he comes out? Or?
I know he went out first.
He went out first, yep, okay. And Dimitri will close the door behind you.
Even the Master of Time didn't have that much time.
As you close the door, there's a click and then the inn just disappears.
Now, it's apparently the same time as we first arrived at the inn, based upon position of the sun.
You can see your footprints.
Yep.
Is our stable, mounts and all that around here to be here at all.
You're mounted there. You can also see, instead of the big Clydesdale, Druzzle has a great big blue drake.
Oh.
That's his horse.
Yeah, my mount's there as well, I assume, as well.
It is. Looking very happy with itself, as it's also looking like a drake at the moment.
Oh,
Is Regem there?
Regem is not there because you didn't leave him in there.
Yep, no, that's all cool. I will attempt to send in Regem.
There's this big flash of golden light as a magnificent horse is standing over the top of Plum and looking down at everyone else.
Oh, my friend, my greatest friend, it is so good to see you. At least someone who will actually make decisions now.
Let's ride, you hear the horse saying Celestial.
I'm concerned with the thought, but
Looking on a wild, he says.
That's
okay. Simon mounts Regem. Suddenly, visibly appears to relax. And,
see the horse bulk up as he does so.
yeah,
Very, very
yeah,
horse-like.
like 6 levels of bulk up? Yeah, cool. And, he looks to the rest of you. Come on, we must ride. Also, someone to point out the way.
You were riding on the back, were you? You've got a gnome holding her hand up.
Yes, go.
It's just so light that Regem doesn't even notice you there.
Ella, have him out?
Yes, right.
What mount would you have?
Black stallion called Miss.
Okay. Write that down so you don't forget.
Yeah. It's been there the whole time, I swear.
One of the extra horse with an expert eye says, "This is good horse. A bit old before, but good horse."
It's one of the Elven horses, so it's at least 9 feet in height.
Yeah, a bit too big for war, but a fine horse.
Thank you, horse
Yeah.
lord.
I'm trying to work out how Dwarf's going to get up on the drake, yeah? But I'm still trying to work out how.
As you're thinking about that, the mouth closes around you, picks you up, and puts it on its back.
I can live with that.
At which point, then it starts to look like a mountain goat.
Okay, wait, is that? The dog must be. It's part of the dog right now. Alright, perfect.
This is not the old
Terrible,
one.
right,
This is a new mount, but yeah. But
It's
okay.
That fox has been kicking you.
Look, this goat's a better goat, and it's a much more intelligent goat. Okay.
Wait, are you saying that there was anything wrong with Bruce?
His previous goat was his brother,
Oh.
and he'd been riding him a long time.
There's a lot of jokes around that too, by the way. Yeah.
His mother told him all about it, but that was one of the things he wasn't paying attention to.
Oh, in the
Yeah.
name of your mother.
He claimed why he had productivity listening to the wisdom connection. He never listened to his mother either.
Yeah.
I promise you, his mother is probably twice as decisive as you ever were, even when you're a babe.
So as you start riding, you do hear these sounds of fighting to the north.
Simon immediately perks up. Come. And rides immediately off towards the fighting. He doesn't actually know what's going on, but he's fairly sure that sounded and looked cool.
As you look, you see flashes of colour all across the horizon.
Alright.
Flashes of colour across the horizon. You
Excellent.
believe the dragons are at war with each other.
Oh.
Well, we're only level 10, so
Is there a longer way?
Simon is born, by the way, and he's very inspiring horse.
I can catch up.
He's influencing your horses to follow.
Oh yeah, that's.
So you see Goat and Horse just walking off in the other direction.
with me on top of goat, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Not horses, very hard for Regime to influence. So yes, does Dimitri have a horse?
Yes.
Oh, stupid spell. Pretend horse.
No, you don't use that usually.
Well, this is that horror will show up, right?
Look, I can summon my horse, you can't.
The body, he's got no attachment to the horse, it's just a horse. It's something used to actually make transport easier.
So
If it's not available, you can make one.
Dimitri's horse tries to lead him north.
Hypothetical question.
Yeah.
Is a ram steel a ranged weapon?
Is what? The answer a ranged weapon?
Yeah, well, just saying, and if it is, what's the range of it, and what's the distance between Flyman and Dimitri? Just science.
Well, you can probably swing it by the end and hit him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
You are on a horse for one of the first times in a while in session.
Yeah. Oh, I have a lens. I forgot. Well,
I have an angry crossbow, or angry bow, but I'm
No,
not
you
bring
have
that
a
out.
crossbow. It's
A crossbow.
It basically tells you off and everyone off as soon as you pull it out. It's just a normal bow.
it's not quite an angry window, but it'll do.
Well, you bought it from a magic shop. What do you expect?
Yeah, I should have thought about the way I would this was the DM, but yeah.
Well, it is the ice store run by Everhold.
Wait, I've got something. Can the bow be hit 5? Can the crossbow be hit 5?
Probably.
Then it's an angry hit bow.
Hi from Bradshaw, right there.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
thanks, David.
So, as,
That's the level that I think we would go to.
So does Dimitri turn his horse away from the north where Plowman's rushing off with Regime?
Dimitri is aiming to hold the horse still, noting the fact that Parliament's going the wrong direction. Gregor and Bradshaw have gone in the right direction, however, they're going to have to walk about 20 to 30,000 miles across open land to actually get there, among many other options. Or, of course, we could go directly to the coastline and just follow the coast on the 1% chance that we might see a ship at some point and pick up along that way. Or the increased chance of having Dimitri call for the ship and will meet us within a few weeks.
What about the isn't there somewhere we can go around?
There is.
Yes, the closest way is only about 29,500 miles away.
What about Moon's airships? They exist. I'm sure they'll
All the way down. Down.
Does anyone know a druid that can turn into an eagle for us? Hey,
Oh, look, it's going to go.
Barman, did you just buy a new saddle with a bigger pommel, or are you excited about rushing into this war with the dragons?
I make my own saddles.
Well, I'm here too, just so...
While I'm riding with Drazzle, I go, you going to go the other direction? And ask.
Was not planned.
Okay. Should we save Clement?
He's going to ride until he can see dragons fighting. He doesn't really plan on getting involved in dragon wars. He just wants to see how cool dragons fighting can be.
Hey, he's already seen dragons fighting spaceships.
I hate you and I hope you don't live. Anyway.
So yes, how many weeks north is Plowman going to ride?
If it's any more than an hour or so, he's going to realise the mistake and turn around and realise that no one else is following him. But it's going to take far too long to go see these cool dragons fighting, and then not seeing that happen really sucks. He wish he could, but he guesses he'll turn around. I mean, his horse is much faster than yours anyway, so it's completely fine.
Okay, so you're following the coast, heading south towards the Norsemen, the northern regions.
Dimitri has used his sending stone to call for the captain of the ship, which was planning on meeting us in the North area, because originally we were going to check out to see if the lady, the influence of this lady, but the 12 took us up here instead. So the ship had already had it right, is the idea that he was going to meet us there, so therefore we could then get on the ship to get up to this house that was in the north. So it should be already on the way, and Dimitri sent the message to say that we're on our way south along the coast towards the Northlands. But may need you to go further north.
Okay, you get a response saying he would probably be about a week away.
And that's perfectly fine, because we've got no idea how many weeks away we are from being down to the Northland.
As we're travelling, Simon pipes up one very quiet moment and says, "You see, now we're doing something, isn't that better?"
I think so.
You could have been asking all of these questions while travelling, and then, you have to get that back then while we all, died of old age.
So while you're heading
It's always interesting to hear one's definition of doing something, considering we certainly achieved far more in that nothingness of time than we are likely to achieve in the next 2 months of travel. Although,
there are a lot of easy ways. There's a lot of magical items that can help you travel.
Do we have any of them?
So
Simon reaches into his saddlebag, pulls out a organized skin and hands it to me. For the shop person, you are incredibly tall.
And as you're heading south, you do see a sight few have seen. 25 of the Haldanic flying ships take off and head east.
That's more like it.
So, they're ships. Yeah, they look like that.
At the side of the ship, you can feel Simon tense up to the point where you think he might attempt to start chasing after the ships.
And they fly with a shrieking sound.
So there's no stealth mode.
No stealth mode. It sort of sounds like a shrieking bird, but you have heard from the others that that's because it's entirely made out of wood and it's just shoved through the air using air magic. So it's got no propulsion, it's literally just pushed through the air extremely fast.
How do we get one of these?
You have to be a servant of the goddess Vanya of War, who basically is the most militaristic god you want to know about.
Simon looks at Razzle and says, "You remember when we destroyed a whole bunch of them? That was fun."
Well, remember, it was Bradshaw and his original goat that did that.
no, we only destroyed one of those Haldanic warships.
Oh, was it the gnomes that we...
No, we used the Haldanic warship to get to the Alphasian Armada. Anyway, killed all the Haldanic knights along the way, which meant that by the time we got there, the reason the kamikaze this was the ship was because there was no one to hold up, because there was no one to believe to push it forward.
It flies completely without magic.
There we go. I mean, that is a problem solved. That's 2 birds with 1 dumb stone.
Yes, and unfortunately, it may have been the wrong birds.
Don't care. We destroyed that ship and everyone on it.
So yes,
Okay, man.
I was going to say we'll finish off tonight with you reaching Dimitri's ship on the coast. So I've got a chance to figure out where you guys go next. But basically, I can't leave it open enough that you can decide. What was that, David?
If you want to burn the ship down, clap your hands. If the Mystara, you know what, clap your hands. If you really want to burn it, yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna clap again.
So yes, you finally got the story behind why the campaign started.
It makes more sense now. Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't have made sense if you had heard it at the start.
No.
But it had no context of what they were playing with.
Well, it makes a lot of sense because I did all those early adventures with you, Martin, too. So I go, oh, okay. Remember that one now. I remember that. We'll link to that. And then, okay, yeah.
Okay, so I will catch you guys up next fortnight and see what we can pick up from there.
Thanks.
All good?
All good?
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. Welcome to the dysfunction that is the party.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And now you fully understand Dimitri's introduction, how everybody loves him, and he's so humble and...
Oh, this way, he's unforgettable.
That's a good way of saying it, yeah.
Perfectly understandable and reasonable that Ayla had heard of him previously. Because he's just so important and so well known throughout the world.
So universally hated.
Okay, guys, so have a good night.
Thanks very much, Will. I'll wait for you around next week, Martin. I'll catch you later after.
Thank God.
Just go through 3 continents.
Bye bye.
Good night.
To interrupt the outro, we can, and we always do.